From WCI3 Plus, with your host, Kevin Lighty, this is Behind the Forecast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Behind the Forecast. That's my name right there, Kevin Lighty. I'm the chief meteorologist here at WCIA. Love to have you guys also give me a like, a follow. I'm going to throw up on the screen right here all the places you can keep in touch with me. I love that you guys jump on here on the WCA3 Plus app. By the way, if you've not told your friends about this app and family, please do so. Like, we're trying to get this out to as many people as we can, kind of meet, everyone, wherever it is that they're trying to consume, news and weather and sports and whatnot. So this app is great, but not everybody knows about it still. And so you can really kind of help somebody out because it's free. You can watch our newscast free. You don't have to pay for a single, penny to watch or, for cable or anything like that. And of course, you get all these special shows like Behind the Forecast, along with many others. So definitely encourage you to let others know about the WCA3 Plus app. It's really cool. And I'm so glad, we are up to, I can't believe it. This is week 18 of our shows. And we continue to kind of do our thing here and come up with new ways of doing stuff to keep you guys entertained. And so this show is going to be a little bit different. So we're going to start things off still with our top 5 viral weather videos of the week, but we're going to do a little special, more in-depth into Hurricane Melissa. And so I'm going to be going into showing you some images, some just incredible stuff, some comparisons here as to what Hurricane Melissa was, what it has done, and just kind of go a little bit more in depth with things. And so hopefully you will enjoy that. That's coming up here a little bit later. But we start off with our top 5 viral weather videos. And there are other things going on besides the hurricane that hit the area. So let's go to video number 5. A river. But it's a river of sand. Doesn't that look like water? How crazy is that? This is up near Seaside, Oregon, where strong winds were observed in Seaside. They're calling it the atmospheric river. Took aim at the Pacific Northwest there, and blowing the sand. The wind gusts were creating that river of sand at 46-mile-an-hour winds there. So they had a pretty good little intense storm. But, have you ever been on a beach when it's windy and maybe some of that sand gets picked up? It feels like needles hitting you there. But I just thought that was really kind of interesting, a video showing the sand being kind of blown along there, along the coast. Looks a little ominous in the clouds in the distance, too. All right, video number 4. Let's go. Well, we're still up here in the Northwest, but now we're up here in Snoqualmie, Washington. By the way, that might be like the best name ever. Snoqualmie, Washington. Getting some snow up there, as you can see. Snow falling along Interstate 90, those mountainous roads. Could you imagine living up there, on those mountainous roads and drive? Listen, here in Central Illinois, obviously we don't have a lot of hills here, which is fortunate, for winter driving and whatnot. Things are pretty flat. But boy, just imagine driving on some of those hills, in the mountains there to try to get around when snow falls. And yes, still no snow here locally, but we're inching closer, aren't we? It's getting closer and closer to us. Fall finally is kicked in, it looks like. So there's your video number 4. All right, how about video number 3? So we talked about Hurricane Melissa a little bit there. We're going to go way more in depth than that, but we have something that's similar. And some people may not know this, but cyclones are essentially a hurricane. They're called cyclones in different parts of the world. So this is Cyclone Mantha, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So this was in India. Okay. So they also are dealing with it. Now, obviously, not as strong as what Melissa is, but sometimes other parts of the world actually see cyclones. And Melissa has actually been kind of compared to some of the very strong cyclones that occur in other parts of the world. But you can see here they had big time winds kind of come through over there. So just thought I'd kind of share with you the cyclone aspects. A lot of people don't realize that cyclone and hurricane are essentially the same thing. Speaking of cyclone, some people call this next thing a cyclone. I call it tornado. But you call it that. Weather can get confusing. I'm telling you, we do like to try to keep things as simple as we can, but sometimes we do kind of confuse things a little bit, don't we? How about this video? Look at this. Hey, the casual person in the car that's just recording the tornado that's just, right beside him. This was in Mississippi. How about this? And we'll run the video back for you to watch it again. So here we are. Southern Mississippi, severe weather hitting the area. And you can see, there it is. Damage. Look at that thing. Ah! Man, I don't know that I'd be all that calm if I'm my car and I see that thing kind of ripping across. At least 10 homes were damaged. Some condominiums, some restaurants, apartments over there. So some heavy damage. There's that tornado came across down in southern Mississippi. Viral video number 1 this week. Back to Melissa, but it's from up above. How about this from the ISS? And we're just going to watch this. It's just amazing to me. Just look at the clear images. You can see the ocean, the clouds there. Off in the distance towards the top of your screen is Melissa. So as the International Space Station flies up above the Earth every single day, doing passes along, and they were able to catch Melissa here. I just think that this video is just amazing to look at. See some of the clear blue water of the ocean. I would give anything to go up and kind of see this with my own eyes from above. But there she is, coming into full frame. Now, this was before it made any kind of landfall and as it was still out there in the Atlantic. But as we slowly kind of creep up on it here, keep in mind, too, that the International Space Station is also moving very fast. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but the thing is flying up there. So it looks like it's moving slow, but look how much ground they're technically covering as it's moving across. But look how big the hurricane just is there from up above. Just letting you watch it there. Okay, guys, we're going to go a little bit more in depth on Melissa here. I've got some images that are just amazing, fascinating. This hurricane is going to be historic for many different reasons, and some of them for the wrong reasons, but it is. And it's done some major damage down in Jamaica and into Cuba. And so we're going to kind of show you some comparisons. I'm going to show you some satellite images like we have never seen before. I've never seen anything like it. And I want you guys to stick around, because what we're going to do here is we're going to take a little bit of a short break here, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you these really cool images and things that I've kind of gathered and collected here over the past few days to share with you, so you can get a little better idea of just how unique and historic and, how these things don't happen very often, at least this type of hurricane. I want to put that into perspective for you. So we're going to do that. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back with much more right here on Behind the Forecast. All right, welcome back here to Behind the Forecast. I'm WCA3 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lighty, and glad you're back here with us. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to go a little bit more in depth on Melissa. I've got some images, some satellite images that are just mind-blowing, some stats, some figures, some things that I'm going to share with you guys. Again, Hurricane Melissa made landfall on Jamaica on Tuesday morning, and it was a Category 5 hurricane, big time Category 5 hurricane. And so what we're going to do here is kick things off, show you guys a story filed from our correspondents here. So we go to that.
First Light in Jamaica brought the first clear view of the devastation. Melissa made landfall yesterday as a Category 5 hurricane with winds up to 185 miles per hour. The monster storm stripped buildings to the studs. covered roads in mud. We traveled from Jamaica's capital city to the town of Santa Cruz. The 3-hour drive took us over rocks and debris, around fallen power lines, and at times off-road.
It's very unlikely that we'll be able to resume school in any shape or form.
At St. Elizabeth Technical High School, Principal Keith Wellington showed us where the wind blew the walls off classrooms.
The students and teachers at this high school, they sheltered in one of the concrete buildings on campus, but this is one of their classrooms. The roof ripped off in the winds, and the walls, they are all piled on top of the desks and chairs where they would have been sitting on a normal day.
We definitely will have to find a way to ensure that everyone is not totally displaced.
Tonight, more than 25,000 people are in shelters, and nearly 80% of the island nation is without power. We met local politician Delroy Slowly as the town's one working front-end loader pushed mud off the one major roadway connecting his community to hard-hit Black River.
In all of it, we still have to give God thanks for. It could have been worse.
You said that when you walked up. How could this have been worse?
Lives, many lives could have been lost.
The damage was overwhelming. The St. John Parish Anglican Church was built roughly 200 years ago. Today, the only thing left standing is the steeple.
The top priorities here are getting communications working again and getting these roads cleared. We're told that there are patients in a hospital just to the west. They want to take them into another city to the east, but the roads have got to be cleared for them to do that. Jason Allen, CBS News at Santa Cruz, Jamaica.
Well, there you go, guys. Little story there for you to kind of set the stage for things, and just devastating down there in Jamaica, as you can see. Now, some areas not hit as hard as others, but there are some spots that literally almost would be considered to be kind of wiped off of the map. And so hopefully we don't hear about, more lives lost. Unfortunately, though, with this kind of hurricane, with this kind of intensity that this storm brought, I won't be surprised to hear about some of those numbers going up. All right, let's talk a little bit more about this thing. And I've got some images and things that I want to kind of show you guys. First off, I thought this was just an incredible video, and what you're looking at literally is inside of the eye of Hurricane Melissa. So for every hurricane, tropical storm, there are hurricane hunters. They go in, they fly the planes in, and they drop these little drop-sons, these basically little mini weather stations that record all the information. So they're flying in this thing, and they're dropping these things so that they can determine temperature and humidity and pressure and wind speed, which are super important for the forecasters to know how strong it is, and then using the modeling data. There's just so much that goes into this. But the view that you're getting here is just amazing to see, because you're seeing what we call the stadium effect. It's like being inside a stadium, and you're like, they're really tall rows and sections and whatnot. And so they're up on all sides, all around you. And just imagine flying and being in the middle of that eye where things are calm. Because again, the worst of the weather is right along the edge of that eye. But in the middle, it's calm. Now imagine, though, they have to fly essentially through that eye to get, or the outer edge of it to get to it. But I just find that footage amazing. The people that do that, just, wow, mind-blowing. Let's go to our next image here, and I'm going to let you guys just kind of watch this. This is an evolution of Hurricane Melissa. And you're going to see the top left is what's known as the infrared. On the right is going to be the visible. Now it goes to black at nighttime because literally when it's dark, you can't see anything. But on the bottom left, there's going to be the reconnaissance missions, the planes that fly into this. And then on the right, you're going to see the wind speed. So you can see Jamaica starting to come up there on the screen. And so they're flying in, they're doing their things. But notice that it strengthens there on the just south of the island. It's going west, it's going west, it's going west, and then it makes the turn north. As all the models forecast, made landfall near New Hope, Jamaica, with winds of 185 miles an hour, came across there, and then eventually came back across Cuba. still is a hurricane. And so there it is again. We'll let it kind of run back through here one more time just so you can kind of watch. If you looked at one box, you want to look at a different one here this time around. You also notice on the bottom, it's known as the pressure. And this is really important here too, because the pressure of the hurricane, the lower it goes, the stronger it is. And I know it's kind of tough to see there because I guess on that graphic, you can't see it as well, but let me try to move this. Let me see if I can't move the, yeah, there we go. So you can see a little bit better. So there goes the pressure that's dropping off 908, 905, 903, and it keeps going to 892 is when it actually made landfall. And we're going to talk more about that here in just a second with this, but wow, just amazing to see that kind of play out all at once. Okay, here's another satellite view of Melissa as it came on shore. There's the eye. There is Jamaica. This is, again, the infrared satellite view that gives you that perspective of it from up above, showing the different colors there. Basically, you're looking at kind of the cloud temperatures and whatnot with this, but which tell you a lot in terms of just how strong the hurricane is. But look at that perfectly defined eye. Hurricanes are just fascinating. Now, we got hurricanes can form only over warm ocean waters. Once they go on land, they tend to weaken a bit because the land, you don't have that engine. The ocean is an engine for the hurricane. And when the waters are warm, they feed off. That's like gasoline for it. And it just strengthens when it's in those warm ocean waters. And the ocean waters, they're just south of Jamaica, are some of the strongest. Let's now show you this is another one. And I got to tell you, this is fascinating to me. This came from the Sentinel, which was the Sentinel satellite. Okay. That makes really high resolution passes, but it doesn't always pass over the areas that you want, okay, because it's kind of just doing its own thing there. And it went right over Melissa right before landfall at its strongest point. I want to point out a couple of things here on this. I'm going to see if I can't utilize my drawing feature that they've given me here to kind of, show you guys what I'm looking at here. I don't know if I can do it or not. It looks like it may not be coming up, but you're looking down the middle of the eye of the storm. You're literally looking down in this thing. That's the ocean. The blue part is the ocean. You're looking down into the ocean. And again, that stadium effect that I talked about there, some of the clouds are where it's kind of calm there in the middle. I just find this fascinating to be able to see down this high resolution image of this eye, of where the winds right along the edges of that eye are close to 200 miles an hour. And this hurricane just absolutely breaking all kinds of records. But I just look at that image there, and I could stare at this all day. I can make this my wallpaper on my computer. That's how unique that image really is. Whew. All right. This is something unique too. We did a size comparison, okay, with Melissa. And obviously you're used to seeing this view, and this kind of blew a lot of people's minds. Hurricanes are large systems. Now, the strongest of the winds are only in that eye. Notice we placed the eye pretty much right over Champaign. That's the same size of the eye of the hurricane when it made landfall. Oh, kind of over Champaign. Only about 10, 12 miles wide there, okay? But notice how large the system is itself. It stretches all the way from, well, some of those outer bands are up to Madison, Wisconsin, and over to Quincy, over to, Ohio, Muncie, Indianapolis, Bloomington, and just how large that is. So if you compare the size of what Hurricane Melissa was to what we are, the map here in Central Illinois, if that storm is placed here, that's how big it is. Now, obviously, a hurricane of that strength would never make it up here because I mentioned earlier, the hurricanes lose their energy when they move over land. And that's exactly what this one did. But I just love the size comparison. It kind of shows you just how big that thing is. How about that, guys? Okay, let's talk some stats. and some numbers here. Where are we at in terms of that? Well, we've got a map here of all of the most intense landfalling Atlantic hurricanes from 1851 till 2025. And so you can see all of the different ones, and maybe some of the ones that you guys may be more familiar with. Gilbert in 1988. You had Andrew in 1992 that hit Florida. Obviously, Katrina in 2005 was a big one. One of the more famous ones from kind of long ago was Camille in 1969. Now, more recently, some other stronger hurricanes like Dorian in 2019. But you can see these are all of some of the most, the strongest. Well, there was another one known as the Labor Day 1935 hurricane. And that one was the strongest on record. But now with Melissa also being at 892 millibars there with the strength and then the winds as well, it is basically going to be that tide. And here's the other thing I want to just kind of mention about. So right now, 185 mile an hour winds at landfall, 892 millibars, but that data will go get looked at again and kind of reanalyzed. You know, in the midst of things, they're doing their thing quick. They're cranking up the forecast. They're looking at stuff. But things can change when they go back and look at everything. They could come back and upgrade the winds. I've seen some other meteorologists, kind of saying, you know what, we might want to take a look at this. These might have had 200 mile an hour winds at landfall. So I do find that kind of interesting that could very well be the case. So that is something to kind of monitor. So that's a map showing all of them. Here's another kind of graph on a list of all of them in terms of their strongest landfalling by the wind speed there. And so we talked about Dorian and the Labor Day one, and then now Melissa here in 2025, 185 mile an hour winds. And it's the strongest to ever make landfall, again, tied with Dorian and the Labor Day 1935. Maybe saying, why is it called the Labor Day 1935? Well, they didn't actually start naming hurricanes, I believe, until the 50s, if I'm correct on that. So they just called them different things back then, the Labor Day 1935. So that's why it's called that. But these are the strongest. I mean, listen, Andrew, one of the most, infamous hurricanes, 1992, that hit Florida. And, of course, we talked about Camille there a little bit. Irma, a big one. So a lot there. And Melissa, shattering records with this. And they may come back later and go, and I think this may happen. I think they'll come back and go, yeah, Melissa was 190. Or Melissa was 195. All of that is definitely possible. So we'll continue to monitor that in the future and see what it is. But we may have all just witnessed, watched, and were alive for the strongest hurricane ever in the Atlantic. All right, my final image that I'm going to share with you guys, I think this is, again, as a weather geek, if you're here, you're probably a weather geek of some kind, right? Well, check this out, and I'm going to try to explain what's going on. This video here is a loop of the eye of Melissa before landfall. Now, we've showed you several images here of the eye and whatnot, but here it is kind of moving. But I want you to look in the middle. There's something that people always kind of theorized and said that might be there, but look at the little vortices, little what we call mesovortices in the middle there that are kind of formed right along the edges there. And those they're almost like these little mini hurricanes in themselves. And there were kind of like 4 or 5 of them there. This is fascinating. We've never seen anything like this captured. And so just an amazing view that we are getting there from up above. Weather is fascinating, folks. Meteorology, and I'm so blessed to be able to cover this every single day. Love doing it. I think it's some of the coolest stuff. And Man, just so cool to see that. All right, guys, it is about time to wrap up the show here. I've had such a fun time talking to you guys about this, go a little bit more in depth on what Melissa is and what it was and still what it may become in terms of future analysis here. But it really has been fun to talk to you guys here about it. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the show a little different. Didn't do the interview portion this time. We'll get back to that. But that's going to wrap things up, guys. I really appreciate you guys tuning in here and supporting us here on Behind the Forecast. And we'll catch you guys next time. We'll see you later here, coming to you from the WCA3 Plus studios. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.